Welcome to another edition of Conversations of the Heart. As always, it is your boy T Till. We have a very special guest here today. Um, she is the Kobe Bryant of mental health, the Basquiat of mental health. She is the founder and CEO of Victorious Beginnings LLC. Okay. She not only holds a BS in business administration and a master's in marriage and family and child therapy, but she is also a Christian counselor. Okay. So she's able to provide spiritual guidance that leads to spiritual growth. She is a certified sex trafficking advocate and health and wellness strategist for women of diversity, the individual seeking balance in all life dimensions, and pastor struggling with mental and spiritual wellness. She is a woman of faith. She is someone who stays ready, so she doesn't have to get ready. She is an all-star in her field, and I am blessed, and we are blessed here at Conversations of the Heart to have her um in this episode that we are going to get into, and we're going to get into a lot of things. And she is a lot of things. So please welcome to the show, Dr. Nichole Henderson. Dr. Nichole Henderson, we appreciate you. We thank you. I thank you for being here with me today because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me today, and I really do appreciate it. Um, I don't say it lightly when I say you are the Kobe Bryant of mental health. You are the Basquiat, like you are to me, someone who is an expert in their field. Dr. Maya of mental health. So thank you again for being here. Um, if I missed anything, I'm going to give you the opportunity right now to kind of give the audience a glimpse and tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hello, everyone, and especially you, Mr. Terrence Tillman. I appreciate you so much. I thank you so much for the invitation, and I willingly accept. It is my heartbeat to know that anything that I can do from a mental wellness standpoint, a spiritual standpoint, a mentor standpoint, I'm going to be obedient. So I just
Yeah,
appreciate the invitation. I appreciate you asking me to come here on this dynamic platform, and I'm grateful.
absolutely. So I guess we will start here. Um, you have a BA in business administration, right? And a master's in marriage, family, and child therapy, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
why this field for you? What attracted you to this field of mental health?
I have such a passion for people, and I thought that my passion was in nursing. Went to school, did everything I was supposed to do, and then rheumatoid arthritis happened.
Mm,
So I had to shift. So in shifting, I went and got my BA in business. And as a result of that, I saw a lot of people that needed help. Whenever you're on the business side of business, most people think of money. Most people think of monetary wealth. And they think, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to run my business in A, B, and C. But it doesn't look as easy as it truly is. So I decided to go back to school and get my BA in business administration. And while I was there, I spent a lot of time in human resources. And all of my jobs that I've had, I've started at the bottom and worked my way all the way up to the top. And it's what people in the corporate world call the glass ceiling. So I would always get there, break it, get my ice pick, chisel my way around. But I'm the type person where people reference the crab effect. I'm that
mm,
in reverse. I want people to go with me, especially Black and brown people who look like me, because
mm,
I'm always the minority wherever I am.
mm.
And that's a lonely place. So being a people helper, being able to reach someone from a mental standpoint, When
Mm-hmm.
I was in human resources, all I could do was advise, hire, and fire. When people came to me for wise counsel, I had to send them to EAP if there was drugs and alcohol, if
Mm-hmm.
there were major life crisis, major breakdowns. And I felt paralyzed, Mr. Tillman. I felt like, God, if you show me, I will go. And I looked into marriage and family therapy,
Mm.
and I saw the idea of having a private practice. And I did my investigation and my homework, and I talked to a few people. At first, I said no, because again, being a business person and you look at the dollar signs and the dollar bill,
Mm-hmm.
that people helping can kind of burn you out if you don't know what you're doing. So I say all that to say, as a owner of a private practice, a lot of individuals in my position, my peers, my counterparts, my mentors, they don't have a business background.
Mm.
So I came into this not only with my heartstrings pulled and attached to that person who I sent to EAP, but now I can catch them. If I can't catch them, I can catch their family. If I can't
Mm.
catch their family, I can catch their coworkers. You see,
Mm.
Las Vegas is a very small community.
Mm.
Everybody kind of knows everyone in the business world, in the hood. Mental health has no color, race, creed.
Mm.
It's kind of like cancer. It
Yep.
will find you. It will find
Mm-hmm.
you in your family. It will find you in your work. It will find you and it will
Mm.
break you in the
Mm.
areas of grief, pain, and shame.
Mm.
So God walked me through that victoriously. And here I am. And I feel like whatever it is in the world that a person can have a breakdown over or because,
Mm.
I don't want to be there to help them. I don't want to be there to support them. I want to be in their path. And I
Mm.
want to give them that piece of that bridge that's missing to
Mm-hmm.
help them kind of process their pain. As African American people, we are told what stays, what talked about in this house stays in this house.
Mm.
And we're mostly intimidated by our white counterparts when they appear to be more successful, when they appear to be more in a place of mental wellness where they fake it to they make it.
Mm.
But when they meet the likes of Nichole Henderson, and God gave me a spiritual gift for discernment, kind of doesn't fly. At some point, when they do come to my office and they close the door, I seen it before they came.
Mm.
Doesn't make me special, doesn't make me different. It makes me aware.
Mm.
So being mentally aware and mentally sound and studying to show yourself approved,
Mm.
two books. Doctors use the DSM and diagnose from the DSM. We diagnose from the DSM.
Mm.
So the Holy Bible, Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth, and the DSM. That's my lifestyle. That's my livelihood.
Mm.
So when the worst of trauma comes to face me, we can go either way, whether you're atheist, Christian, Church of Latter-day Saints, it doesn't make a difference.
Right.
Black, brown, green, or purple, mental illness is something that is universal.
Mm. And I love that. And you said a lot there. And the one thing is you diagnose from two books, right? I love that. Speaking of, so in my estimation and in my experience, being black, being a Christian, um, you kind of grow up, where it's just one way. Uh,
Mm, yes.
there's two things you need to be black, okay? And that's being a Christian and that's ginger ale. Okay, those are two things you need growing up that fixes everything,
Yes, sir.
no
And
matter what.
Robitussin. And
And
Robitussin.
yeah, and
And
some
Tussin.
tussin
Yes,
now,
sir.
yes,
Yes, sir.
right. So that's what it is. Those are the three things, right? It's like the
Mm-hmm.
Holy Trinity. You got the
Mm-hmm.
Christianity, you got church, you got tussin, and you got ginger ale. As long as you
Yes,
got that, everything in life is going to be all right.
absolutely.
And when it comes to mental health, being a Christian, um, sometimes that's taboo. When you're black, and we're talking about mental health and the growing up in a household, that's taboo.
Yes, sir.
There are stigmas that go along with both, right? So when you're black and you're a Christian, um, there are things and stigmas that come along with the mental health part, and it's tough to navigate those waters, right? Because it's either one, you're not praying enough.
Mm,
Two, you're a baby Christian. You haven't gotten there yet to get through things in life.
mm,
And you got to go to your pastors and or your deacons or your spiritual fathers to navigate these mental health waters. And on the other side of it, what you said in the black household, what happens in this house stays in this house now. So there's a lot of things when you're kind of being birthed into the red in mental health. And a lot of us in the black community are birthed in the red when it comes to mental
absolutely.
health.
Absolutely.
So for you, and this is why I say like you're like the holy grail of mental health. You are. Because someone like yourself who's a black woman that is a Christian therapist, I don't think you understand. Well, I think you do, but I don't think people understand how powerful that is to have someone like yourself who is from the community and that's also a Christian that can bridge the gap and break down those stigmas, right? So, in your experience, growing up and things like that, and in Christianity, were you afraid to go into this field, right? Knowing the history that we have as a community, knowing that you might face like you know what, Dr. Nichole, that's not what I do, right? Or you know what, I'll just go to church,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll just keep it to myself. Did
Mm-hmm.
you understand this going in? I think I know the answer, but what was your experience knowing? Oh my goodness gracious, I'm headed into this field now in my community with no ginger ale
No ginger ale.
and no tussin.
No tussing.
I'm going in
Mm-hmm.
full fledged in the mental health space, being a black Christian too. Like, did you think about it?
Not only did I think about it, sir, not from, I don't know if you're familiar with J Street on the west
Hmm.
side of Las Vegas, but
Oh,
that's where
J
I,
Street. See, I was thinking New York City. Sorry.
no,
Yes.
no, we're talking Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes.
So,
I've heard of J
so,
Street. Yes.
so I'll tell you, J Street is equivalent to Watts in
Mm.
Los Angeles, California.
Wow.
And, when they saw me coming, because I was Black, I was protected.
Mm.
So I started off as what they call a PSR, a psychosocial rehabilitation. And I'm still in school, getting my master's for counseling, marriage and family, and child therapy.
Mm.
So I am an overachiever. I'm also a perfectionist. So
Mm.
I'm human just like everyone else. So if they give me one opportunity, I'm taking three if it's available.
Mm.
So I went and I worked in that particular capacity because I was the only Black person that was employed with this agency
Mm.
which led me to equestrian therapy.
Mm.
I went on J Street. At the time, I was driving a luxury car, but being unapologetically Black and being able to connect with particularly Black men, gang members,
Mm.
women of the night,
Mm.
and individuals who are just ghetto fab unapologetically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to dumb down. I'm trying to dress down. I'm trying to not be hood, not be street, but not
Mm-hmm.
be cut from my professional stance. I'm
Right.
coming out of corporate
Right.
and I go straight into the hood. And then my first assignment, sir, my first assignment is with a Black African American child. Mother is Caucasian, the only Caucasian woman in the ghetto on
Mm.
J Street, the
Mm.
only one. Okay.
Mm.
And I get to this point where she, I see her, she's bisexual, a lot of issues. Okay. But she can't move. This girl, my client was 7 years old. She was in inpatient care in Spring Mountain
Mm.
for standing over her mother, attempting to stab her repeatedly.
Wow.
So I'm going in, this is my first assignment.
Mm.
Okay. I'm going into the trenches. I see this white woman, and I am a type of therapist, and I'm still the therapist that always discusses the elephant in the room first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go in there with tussing and faking it till I make it. I don't do that. I said, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. Can you tell me what's going on? And at the time, we did 4 hour long assessments. I was
Mm.
ready. I wanted to know. I'm curious. I'm that curious therapist that really wants to know. I don't want to do my job, go in and go out.
Mm.
Mother schizophrenic,
Mm.
7 different personalities.
Mm.
The baby, she has her own thing. So this is an interesting dynamic, single parent. So I'm going in here, looking the way I'm looking, serving this particular family. What happened? What happens at home stays at home. What are you doing? Why are you seeing them? And why can't you help us?
Mm.
So you can't say what happens in this house stays in this house. And
Mm.
then you come and ask for help when it's a 911 or you're on your deathbed or you're about to pull the plug.
Mm.
So I go where I'm called.
Mm.
I ask God to break my heart with what breaks his, so I'm on a mission.
Mm.
My mission never expires and it does not have an expiration date.
Mm.
So when I get to a point where I see my people who look like me, walk like me, talk like me, whole nine, we greet each other. But when Black people greet each other,
Mm. Mm.
okay, whether it's a head nod
Mm-hmm.
or a sister, I see you, that's spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opportunity to go in.
Wow.
And they have no idea who I am and what I'm doing because I don't have therapists written over my head. But sometimes I do, Mr. Tillman, because people start talking to me and I'm like, okay, what is it? Is it the face? Is it the energy? Is it the light? Because that's what I'm bringing. And again, I'm not perfect, but
Mm-hmm.
I strive for perfection because I practice what I preach. And a lot of
Mm.
people don't know what self-care is. But if you're already broke, why would I come in with you with that?
Mm.
If you're already broken, why would I
Mm.
come in with that?
Right.
And if you don't believe, being in the living of. Nothing from nothing leaves what?
Nothing.
So I bring hope.
Mm.
Hope deferred makes the heart sick. But the tree of life is the hope that they are seeking that they don't know about. So going in being Black unapologetically and being that magnet that attracts whomever,
Mm.
especially my Black men.
Mm.
My Black men, I have a passion for. I didn't come into this profession thinking I was going to serve almost predominantly Black men. I didn't even, and it's recently I've added this to my website, Men's Mental Health. The only reason why I added it is because majority of my clients are men.
Wow.
And to see Black men come and be about their business with their mental health and wellness is not something That's a foreign language.
Yeah.
And this is what COVID has brought men to their knees.
Mm,
Okay. When you don't have anything else, you have God. But if you don't know how to access God and navigate that relationship, you're back at square one.
mm,
That's what we
mm,
call regression. And you get
mm,
in this vortex of pain and suffering, suffering, ring,
mm-hmm,
ring,
mm-hmm,
ring.
mm-hmm,
So we have to stop that. And how do we
mm,
stop it? Prayer. We tell people, oh, baby, I'll pray for you, but they don't teach you how to pray.
mm,
All right, we have to teach our men how to pray. If they're going to lead, we have to teach them to pray.
mm,
So when the politicians do come, they know what to ask for and they know how to cast their vote.
mm. So you said a lot there. And with men's mental health, I would be remiss if I didn't speak on that. Um, so for us, men's mental health has been a sore spot, right? For years. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, please do. Um, but historically, I've always said, if anybody knows me knows, I always say men should go to therapy individually first.
Mm,
Individually first, because
mm,
the way that therapy is presented to men historically, in my humble opinion, based off of the things and people I've spoken to and the research I've done, it's almost like I'm going to bring you to the whooping board
mm,
when you're in a relationship or your marriage, right? It's I'm going to bring you to therapy and we're going to show you,
mm,
right? That's normally sometimes men's first bout with therapy historically. Now we're getting a little better as getting individual therapy, but historically, and I don't mean way back, I'm talking about probably like 5, 6 years ago, historically. Hey, it's the first our first bout with therapy is relationship therapy, couples counseling, marital counseling, things like that. And it's when there's problems already arrived that has arrived, and I'm bringing you to therapy and fix you. We're gonna fix you up, right? And so when that happens, man, it's like, okay, so it's gonna be 2-on-1, 2-on-1 WWE style. It's me versus two people. Okay, so why would I want to go?
yeah,
I can get that. I can get the whooping board for free at home with you. What I gotta pay
yeah.
for? I get my
You,
insurance involved. I gotta do all this stuff
mm-hmm,
just for you. I
mm-hmm.
just take the whooping at home, Mom. Thank you very much. I just take the whooping at home. I'm gonna just call it a day.
Mm,
And so I encourage men to one get therapy individually first because it gives them one a safe place to go. Two, it gives them different tools to work with,
mm-hmm,
different tools in their toolbox that they can navigate life with.
mm-hmm.
Three, it, it gives them the ability not to always bleed all over their spouse or family or friends.
Right.
Um, Four, it gives them place of release, right? Um, and five, it's accountability,
Mm-hmm,
right? And so for me, that's what I encourage men to do. And
mm-hmm.
you are the resident expert here on this subject matter with men's mental health. How important do you think it is for men to get individual therapy before relationships? And not that they can't have it during the relationships, but before, you know, they get into relationships or at least if they're in a relationship that they should have an individual therapist.
I think that's critical.
Mm,
And the only reason why I have had any success, and when I equate my success to my profession, it's what my clients bring back to me. It's not what I see.
mm,
So I have a couple before me, particularly an African American couple. I purposely do a different approach altogether.
mm,
I kind of take a detour and I start with the man and I tell that man, I'm going to always reference you as a leader. Are you okay
mm,
with that, sir? He says yes.
mm.
The corner of his mouth, of his mouth kind of come up. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I read people for a living.
Mm,
So I got some brownie points there.
mm-hmm,
I give that man the reverence he deserves if he's never gotten it before. And I do not make him feel like there's going to be more 2-on-1 instead of that because God is in control in the room.
mm, mm,
I ask him about his leadership skills in relationships. I ask him about his pattern in past relationships. And I ask him where he's going in this relationship. 9 times out of 10, before they leave, I'm asking when's the wedding date or when's the divorce date? Because we're going to get
mm.
down to business. So I kind of shed a lot of the layers down before I get started because I give them the expectation that my goal is to help them with their expectations.
Mm,
And if they're unrealistic and they're watching reality TV and they think this is what life is about, then we have to go back some more.
mm,
They bring in stigmas in the room and they've never been told, I love you, you are loved, you are my beloved,
mm,
then there's no reason for him to go individually because he does not have the capacity to fill his own love tank.
mm,
So, therapy, yes. Individual, yes. But go with the intentionality to heal
mm,
from the inside out, not the outside in.
mm,
And when you have a dysfunctional couple, you have a dysfunctional family, those generational patterns ensue. This intimidates men, but they would never say because his father told him that he should never cry.
mm,
His strong single black mother has told him, "You don't cry, son."
mm,
And it's not until he becomes an elderly gentleman where he does experience that release and he's that light bulb comes on. Oh yeah,
mm,
now I understand, but I'm old now. So yes, but if they're gonna go individually, I encourage single black man, married black men in general, to find someone who aligns with you.
mm,
Not with you, you my homeboy, we do this, we like sports, we like the Lakers, we like the Cowboys.
mm. Ugh.
But that will speak to your heart. And when I speak to my man, I make it very, very clear. Any type of romantic feelings, you got to stop. We can't keep doing this. We can't go down this road. And I'm not saying that that will happen. I'm just putting it out there. But
Mhm.
we're going to talk about sex because I'm a Christian therapist. They dare not. Oh, Miss Henderson. Oh my God. Okay. We're grown. We're
Yeah,
grown. We're going to
that's a little
talk about some
awkward.
grown up things. We're not going to come up here. We're not going to talk about what happened last week, blow by blow. That's why you watch TV.
Mhm, mm,
So the more you put in your system and your psyche, that's the way you behave.
mhm, mhm,
So when you give a man tools like a fishing pole, you teach him how to fish.
mhm,
You give
mhm,
him good bait and you give him love and encouragement around that and you validate that man. And I teach the woman how to do that in the first session.
mm,
LUV, listen, understand, and validate.
mm,
I hear you, honey. I'm sorry I did that to you. I never thought you felt that way until we came to this first therapy session.
mm,
I understand what Miss Nichole made me understand by not even seeing that you've been hurting since you was 12.
mm,
I'm
mm,
going to do better by doing A, B, and C. Oh, I'm going to do better. I'm sorry. Here's the tissue. How are you going to execute this plan? A man who doesn't have a plan will perish. Goes for
mm,
women too.
mm,
So you start with that leadership, and that
mm,
leadership starts with him. And if he is not equipped, he needs to go away and get equipped and come back and execute and be in agreement and understand to be equally yoked. It's not 50-50, it's 100-0. You bring 100% of what you're giving to that woman to yourself and let that reciprocity go back and forth. And that's how you teach your family to blossom and cultivate.
Mm. And and this is a good segue because when you said 100-0, and the people eyes gonna light up like a Christmas tree. Now, what we're not saying, and maybe I'm gonna speak for you here a little bit, Dr. Nichole. Dr. Nichole is not saying 100-0, where the man just gives 100% of himself and gets nothing in return.
Absolutely.
Because y'all like to do that. Y'all I see y'all online, y'all like to do that mess. That is not
Yes.
what she is saying. She
Yes.
is saying to give 100% of you. And the key word is reciprocity. You gotta listen. I know y'all like to just talk and get things. So get this. It's 100. You give 100, she gives 100. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
So we in Las Vegas. Well, I'm in Las Vegas. A lot of high rollers. But I want to talk about a different type of roller now.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about the holy rollers
Yes, sir.
when it comes to mental health now.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite subject
Mm-hmm.
that I like to discuss. Because I was born in it. I was raised in it. And when it comes to emotional intelligence, when it comes to mental health, I feel a lot of people try to over spiritualize
Mm-hmm.
things
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to where it's like I love the quote. Oh, I love the old school saying people are so heavenly minded that they're no earthly good.
No
I
earthly
love that
good.
quote. I love
No
it.
earthly good. Mm-hmm.
Right. But I also feel like people will over spiritualize things that they don't have answers to.
Correct.
Right. So if you say, um, oh, Terrence, how's your mom? And I don't know what to say. I'm like, bless God, highly favored, da, 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 da. And I start giving the fluff.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I go to somebody and I ask them about what's going on in their world that may be emotionally or mentally uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed, highly favored,
Mm-hmm.
bless God is da 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 da.
Yeah.
Da.
Yeah.
Well, all right now, I know you're blessed, but I'm asking, how are you feeling? How are you feeling today?
Mm-hmm.
I know you're blessed. That's what I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking, how is your soul today?
Right.
I'm asking these questions. And sometimes I feel like people, they over spiritualize things to get through uncomfortable situations.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes people use spirituality and God like work,
Yes.
like alcohol,
Yes.
like drugs, like sex, like
Mm-hmm.
the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, I'm going to use this so I don't have to deal,
Yes.
right? And I'm gonna use what I've been taught in church
Mm-hmm.
to process these things
Yes.
versus dealing with these things,
Yes.
right? So I'm just gonna use my spiritual gifts. I'm gonna use what the
Mm-hmm.
church has taught me to give answers, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really dealing with these situations,
Right.
right? And for somebody like yourself, who is a Christian therapist, I love that so much. Um, how do you deal with that? Because I know you have to deal with that at some point in your clients. Because if you're a
E-
Christian therapist, I know you have to get them.
Every day.
Okay.
Every day. Every day.
So, how do you deal with the spiritual side of those things, the over spiritualization of those
Mm-hmm.
things versus the reality right, of what's really going on with people's trauma, with people's issues and unpacking things. How do you navigate those heavily, holy, holy rollers, the holier than thous? How do you deal with that in sessions or just in these conversations? Because I know it irks my soul. So I'm just know it makes me itch when I
Yes,
deal
sir.
with these people. I'm not gonna
Yes,
lie
sir.
to you. And I'm a
Yes,
Christian,
sir.
just so y'all understand. Y'all know me, I'm a Christian. I love my people.
Yes,
But
sir.
y'all holy rollers, y'all make me itch.
Hmm.
That's just me.
Yes.
That's not Dr. Henderson. She loves y'all. Y'all make me itch a lot.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Hmm.
So how do you deal with people like that to get them to a point that they have to understand that they have to deal with their mental health?
So I asked them two questions. If I feel a heavy layer of Christianese sprinkled with more
Mm-hmm.
Christianese, so much so where I start to itch and I'm allergic,
Yeah.
I ask them, where is their identity with Christ? And you can't answer a therapist to say, I'm good, it's fine, all is well. We're here to have a conversation. We're here to have an intimate conversation.
Mm,
Second question I ask them is, how is their heart temperature? From an
mm,
emotional intelligence standpoint, they can't answer either because they don't understand the question.
mm,
So some people may ask for clarification, others continue with the Christianese narrative.
mm,
When you have lost someone and you are at the very depths of grief and you're in the first stage,
mm,
I tell them, I believe you're in denial. I
mm,
believe that you are Christianizing your life, your lifestyle, your energy, everything. When you have nothing left, you know God is there. You know you're supposed to wait. When nothing is there,
mm,
you're emotionally dry. Nothing. Where are you going? What are you doing? Tell me exactly. Outside of praying, what are you doing? Then they break. Then they cry. Then they get themselves together. And I tell them, you may feel like it's church when you leave me, but you will not walk out of here without tools. Because when you go to church and you hear from the pulpit, as soon as you get home, you get back to cussing, you get back to lying, you get back to all these things. You don't treat people right. That's because you're in denial. Denial. Don't even know I am lying.
Ooh-wee. Hold on now. We can't hold on. We can't move further than that now. I want you to repeat that one. What does the now stand for?
D, don't.
Mm-hmm.
E, even.
Mm,
No, I am lying.
mm. My goodness.
Denial.
My
And we
goodness.
deal with that denial and we deal with that pain because this is where the heart is sick. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Mm,
Okay. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm suicidal. I lost my best friend.
mm,
When you wake up in the morning, it's going to be Groundhog Day all over again. Let's get to work. So when you come out of the denial phase, you walk into acceptance.
mm.
I accepted Christ all my life. I'm a born again believer. I know God can do everything.
But
How
fail.
you gonna pay your how you gonna pay your bills tomorrow? What's the plan?
Mm. You gonna make a way out of no way.
You have a bill with myself and you are scheduled to come and see me every week. How are you going to take care of that? Oh, I'll
Mm,
find a way. Let's get some priority going here. Your
mm,
basic needs are being neglected because you are believing and parroting something. God heard you the first time when you said the prayer.
mm,
Faith without works is dead. That's in the book of James.
mm. Talk about it.
And when you are not working toward your own well-being, mental wellness, and you are the leader, people come to you for direction. That's called codependency when you don't execute what you need to do,
mm,
and denial.
mm,
So when they come with the Christianese and they parrot these things, the last question I asked them is, where is that in the word? We read the same Bible. Where is that in where is that in the Bible? Oh, I don't know the word like you. If you don't know the word, why are you saying it three, four times? You tell somebody you blessed and highly favored, what's the evidence?
mm,
So they leave differently than they came in. They kind of whoop them up a little bit. I tell them out of the time, I tell them I'm punch them in the face. You feel like you battered, beaten, bruised at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's me praying for you, praying
mm.
for your spirit, because you can say, I'm blessed and highly favored. You can say, the Lord is good
All the time.
and all the time.
God is good.
But do you believe that when your bank account is in the red? Do you believe that when your mother has cancer? Do you believe that when you're at a funeral and you have 7 family members that died one after the other? Okay. You have righteous anger. You think you're entitled to something because of fill in the blank. Jesus came and died for us. John 3:16. People know that verse, at least they should. People know
Mm-hmm.
the Lord's Prayer, but they don't know what book in the Bible is located. They don't know the address. They have pictures all over their home with scripture and everything else. If I ask them what it says, they don't know. Stop being hypocritical. Stop putting false idols above you and telling me and trying to convince me that you're okay when you're not and you're sitting in my office.
Mm-hmm.
Stop lying to your children, break the generational curse,
Mm,
and take
mm,
care of your business, take care of your family and those to come. Because if God gave you an assignment, what is it? For you to
mm,
tell people that you're blessed and highly favored? If you are, what's the evidence? Because it's
mm,
not monetary. You can't take that with you to the grave. You can't put a U-Haul in a hearse behind the limousine and take it with you.
mm,
You have to do good in the moment. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Whatever riches or wealth that you think that you have had because you're so esteemed and you're so worthy and you're so loved, it can be taken from you tomorrow. Will
mm,
you take the knowledge that is so powerful and execute it to do it again? Replicate that. Create generational wealth for your family. Make sure you have your business and your affairs in order so that you can go and do it again the next day a little bit better.
mm,
So when they come in, and you understand, I see pastors too. So, they're notorious for that.
mm,
And I have to tell them, if all of these things are true, why are you addicted to porn? Why are you divorced? Why are you on the verge of divorce? They have no answers. And this is when we start getting to work. We start to get into the scriptures. We start to see real life experiences. We start executing the principles of the life skills and the coping skills.
mm-hmm. And I was, and what you said is so detailed and eloquent, and I hope people are really listening intently, because I am. And the one thing I see, so sometimes when it comes to people who are loud, especially when it comes to Christianity, and they're not preachers, but like people who just spew like what you say, Christianese, right? And what I want to know, it's what is when you lay your head at the pillow at night,
Yes.
what is it really? What
Me
do you really
personally or
feel?
the other
No,
person?
no, not you.
Right.
Not you.
Right.
But
The
what
other
I mean
people.
is
Mm-hmm.
when you're spewing these things, like
Yes. Yes.
it's like a it's like a drug to do, right?
Yes.
You're
Mm-hmm.
coping,
Mm-hmm.
right, with a lot of things, and maybe it's desperation or whatever it is, but you're not dealing with reality of your situation.
Yes. Yes.
And you can wake up in the morning and say all the hallelujahs, the Hail Marys,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
Lord's Prayers, and
Mm-hmm.
talking at people about what they should do
Mm-hmm.
with the Lord and this and that and the third.
Yes.
But when you lay your head down at night,
Yes.
you know how you feel.
Yes.
God knows how you feel, but you know
Yes.
how you really feel
Mm-hmm.
about your life, about the sadness, about the grief,
Yes.
about everything. But just like functioning alcoholics, you get up every day and you do it again.
You do.
And it's no problem because it works for you. It
The,
makes you
it works, but it's denial. And
that, but
sir,
that's what I mean. It
right,
works,
right. And
but it
so,
doesn't.
but sir, the body keeps score.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it does.
And because the body keeps score, when you are really in pain and you feel that, you allow yourself to feel that pain, all those defense mechanisms go away
Mm,
because they don't work with true pain.
mm,
I tell people pain is God's university. Without any suffer, where would you know the light? How would you know the cure? So when they lay down at night, they're calling out to God, or they think that they are God because of their ego edging God out, ego.
mm, mm-hmm,
And as soon as they tell themselves something that feels good, that sounds good, that looks good, that's what they thrive in until there's no more. And when you hit rock bottom, and that's why they say when you have to hit rock bottom in order to understand your circumstances.
mm-hmm,
So when you understand you're not your circumstances, you stop saying things you don't mean.
mm, mm.
How you doing, brother? I'm blessed in the Lord, but I had a real heavy day yesterday. Can I call you and talk to you about it?
Mm-hmm.
Vulnerability.
It's that continuation. It's
My mother
yes.
died, and I really don't want people to give me their condolences. You can pray for me, that's fine, but be there. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do it. Just be there. Just be in the moment
Mm-hmm.
and check on me when I'm not hurting.
Yeah. Those type of relationships are invaluable. I mean, they
Absolutely.
are. I've always said, even with some of my Christian brothers and sisters, when I can go to them
Mm-hmm.
and really have an honest conversation about how I'm feeling, and they do not try to over Christianize me or pound me with the Bible at that time, and they're just there to listen and say, "Oh, I understand," or even if they don't, I'm here to listen, and they're just there and to talk
Yes.
on a human to human basis.
Mm-hmm.
That those are the relationships that I love with people who know time and place,
Yes, sir.
right? There's a time for the spiritual side, there's a time for the human side, where sometimes you just not, it's no offense, but you just may not want to hear the thou shalt nots, and you may not want to hear the they're in a better place, saith the Lord, right? You may not want to
But
hear
but
those
but
things.
but let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
How do they know that?
Oh, they don't have a clue. It's their
Okay.
hope.
Yes, sir.
It's the
Yes, sir.
positive thing to say.
Yes, sir.
It
Yes,
is the
sir.
Christianese thing to say.
Yes, sir.
And not understanding that sometimes those things actually might make it worse for the
Well,
person,
I
right?
well let me
Hearing
s-
it.
well let me say this just so I can clearly answer the question to give a clear takeaway. Always ask the person permission. What do you need?
Mm-hmm.
Versus trying to force your Christianese phrases, whatever it is that you think you have more strength and that other person doesn't. Don't pour weakness into people. And you pour
Mm.
weakness into people by parroting different nomenclatures, different sayings, different things. Just ask permission.
And that permission is great because it also creates a boundary of, one, do you have the capacity to talk about this right now?
Correct.
For the other person, they may not. You don't,
Correct.
because you never
Correct.
know what somebody's going through.
Yeah.
Even if you're going through.
Hmm.
Um, and I just always love people who who take the human approach. Um, and sometimes you may not need a sermon. Sometimes you may just need a hug. You may just need a text, and not even a long one, but just even I hear you and I'm here. Even if I don't
Hmm.
understand what you're going through, man, I'm here for you, and I'll even pray for you. But most of all, I'm here, right?
Right.
Sometimes when you're going through deep things, and you could know, and this is why I know, especially when you're dealing with other Christians and they start hitting you with the long texts, and you're like, I know these scriptures already. Oh, okay, cool. And then you ask yourself, why did I even bother talking to this person? Why did I even say anything to this person? Because they're just over spiritualizing a human moment, right? And I think sometimes as Christians, can't tell what's a human moment from a, okay, this person might need a spiritual counseling or they might need a word versus this is just a human moment.
Yeah.
Person is grieving.
Yeah.
He just
But if
lost
you, yeah.
whatever,
But if,
right?
but if you ask permission, then you know.
Yes. What do you
You
need?
don't assume.
Mm-hmm.
A woman should never assume, especially with grief, especially with God, because you cannot be God. So you
Mm-hmm.
ask permission. You ask
Right.
permission.
Because sometimes people go and you say, oh, I'm going through. Okay, come on. So we're gonna pray right now. You like, ah, that's not the space I'm in. It's not the space that I'm in right now. And then you might offend them. And then not, then y'all ain't talking for 2 weeks. And then things get complicated. Oh, so where's your faith?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Right. You're exhausted at this point, right? It's
Hmm.
right. So the one thing I want people to understand is we love God. We love, the spiritual aspect of things. But the one thing is there is a human part to a lot of this stuff.
Right. Right.
And sometimes that human part is a safe space to talk, to grieve, to cry, to all the human emotions that come with
Hmm.
these things,
Hmm.
right? And so people, you don't have to prove your Christianity to us. You don't have to prove that you're holier than your whole family. I can promise you, I don't care. I'll
Right.
probably tell you Dr. Nicole doesn't care, but I'll let her tell you that herself.
Right. Right. I understand.
We don't. This isn't
Right.
the Christian Olympics.
Hmm.
And I feel like sometimes that's where we're at. Like, okay, who's gonna get the gold medal? Who's
Yeah.
who wins? Right. And it's
Right.
like that's not life, From me, Christianity is how you live your life, is how you treat people, it's how you treat each other, right? It's actions.
Most importantly is what you don't say.
Actions. Yeah. Right.
You got to do actions. That's how you be in the living on it. If you ask a person to do something for you to walk beside you, then that's
Mm.
when you execute it. But outside of that, you shouldn't be offensive, overburdened, too much.
Hmm.
It's exhausting.
Yes. And since you're really in marriage and family and child therapy, right? Have you seen where partners, one can be a little bit more holier than the other, right? One could be holy, one could be a Christian, one could They both could be Christians because this is what I'm seeing online. So if I'm seeing this online with strangers, I can imagine what's going on in the house to
Mm-hmm.
where it's like it's weird. It's like gang activity. Excuse me for saying that
Yes.
about Christians, but it's like gang activity. You got the,
Yes.
everybody could be in a gang, same gang, but then it's like subdivisions of
Mhm.
this and like it's weird, right? Because then you got Christians arguing with Christians and who's holier than this and this is better than this and it becomes like it becomes very ugly to me,
Yes. Yes.
right? And this person's more of a Christian than you, and you're more of a Christian. It becomes and it's a weird thing for me to see,
Okay.
but I know it's been like this for years. I know,
Okay.
right? But then when it hits a relationship, right?
Yes.
How do you
Mm-hmm.
counsel that part? Because it seems like one always thinks that they're the more mature Christian
Mm-hmm.
than the
Yeah.
other, right? It could be friendships, it could be, but in I know this can hit hard a lot in marriages and things like that, right? Because
Yes. Yes.
if they're bickering on social media and they're friends and strangers, I know they're
Mm-hmm.
bickering in the house too.
Mm-hmm.
How does one navigate those waters?
So as therapists, we work with a lot of scales.
Yes.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, I ask one very important question. And that is on a scale of 1 to 10, in your definition of being equally yoked, where are you? That couple that's together, if you're not equally yoked, the relationship will not work.
Mm.
If you're more Christianese or you're more spiritually mature, particularly if you're a woman
Talk about that.
and you feel that it has an overt parenting tone in your Christianese,
Mm,
it's not going to work
mm,
because you will emasculate that man out of the relationship. And he will continue the cycle of being attracted to a personality such as yours. And it will continue to be a dysfunctional pattern. And when you learn how to be equally yoked, if you want to learn how to be equally yoked
mm,
and you do the work and you stop looking at your partner from here,
mm,
he's not your child. He's not your child. He's not your son.
mm,
He's not your slave. He's not your boo thing. If he is a man that was created from protection and provision, then he has one up on you. If man, if God created woman by taking a rib out of a man, how did you get the promotion? Because of your resume? Because of your experiences? You chose to be with him. So what
mm,
happened?
mm,
That inauthenticity is what breaks the relationship. So
mm,
I gauge that. We don't get too far from that.
mm.
We're probably there for about 6 months
Wow.
because we are where we come from. We are who we hang around.
Mm,
If I came from a single parent home from a strong Black woman as my mother, then what am I going to manifest?
mm,
I may say I don't want to be like that, but I am that.
mm,
Parent my children the same way. I parent my man the same way.
mm, mm,
But if I expect my king to open the door for me all the time, guess what? Guess what my son is going to do for every woman,
mm,
no matter what color she is, no matter what size she is a queen.
mm.
He's not doing that because she's a queen. He's doing that because that's what he was taught to do.
Right.
So as soon as we figure out how to become equally yoked, she asks permission.
Mm,
Not, baby, can I go to the movie with my friends? But how are you? How's your love tank?
Mm,
She executes his love language.
mm,
He's good for 6 months. He's still remembering what the question that she asked then versus you always, you never, you ain't, you this, you that.
mm. And that includes all things, even when it comes
All
to
being equally yoked in all things.
right.
Okay. If he makes more money, does he get to treat you any different because he makes more money? Because that's why we have
Mm,
disability for employers.
mm-hmm,
Tables are turned. She doesn't know what to do because you've done everything. That's that 100-0
mm, mm,
in reverse.
mm-hmm.
When one is more Christian than the other, what will you learn from him or her?
Well, I think when it comes to women, they want that they want that leadership, right? So they might want that leader.
Sometimes, sometimes,
Well, yeah,
sometimes,
but
yeah,
they might, well, especially when it comes to maybe possibly in the Christian sense, right?
they do.
You gotta protect, provide and pray over the house, and all
I
of the
do.
things,
I
right?
do.
Um, and and I think everybody's so different because I remember growing up, my mom very, very Christian.
Yes.
But they both were. But the difference was my dad was quiet. He was quiet. He was a more quiet man. He was a more, if when he prayed, he was quiet, right? Very stoic. But that's who he was. You know, my mom was more, even though she was quiet, she was more boisterous when it came to certain things, especially when it came to the things of God and stuff like that.
Yes.
Um, Funny enough, my dad was a Sunday school teacher, right?
Mm,
Right. But
mm,
everybody's walk or everybody's walk looks different, and
yes.
everybody's way that they do things look different. But I find that sometimes people just want, I think, you to look like their stuff, right?
Right.
It's like they
Right.
want you to mirror them
They
instead of
do.
respecting the differences, right? And learning or whatever, like you said, learning or whatever. But it could just be, well, I want it to be like what it's either you want it to mirror you or you want it to look like what you want it to look like,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Correct.
And that's in all things.
Correct. And that's when going back to being equally yoked without getting into it and pulling it apart.
Yeah.
Um, that's a personality disorder. That's a personality disorder. It's gonna be my way or the highway.
Mm,
You're gonna do like I say, you're gonna do like I do, you're gonna move with me. If I don't move, you don't move, just like that.
mm.
You know the song.
Oh, I do.
You know the song.
Mm-hmm.
So there are individuals that when you're ready for full surrender, when you learn how to surrender to God, you can surrender to your king, and life is good.
Mm-hmm.
And if life isn't good, just like a child who is misbehaving, you have to meet the child where they are. If you beat them, they're going to learn to beat other people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is where people say hurt people hurt people.
Oh, absolutely.
So in
You know.
relationships, if you don't come in with a forgiving, surrendered heart,
Mm,
it's not a relationship because you're not relational.
mm. Wow.
And when someone asks for your hand in marriage or to be in a relationship, you have to be relational. You have to check on each other. You have
Mm,
to pour love into each other.
yes.
You have to be intimate. Intimacy and sex are two different words. You
Yes.
have to be intimate, but you have to know God's intimacy in order to share that intimacy with a partner.
Mm, mm,
And if you don't study to show yourself approved, how would you get better?
mm,
But if you study, you ain't, you never, you make me sick. Why don't you do
mm,
this way? Because this is the right way.
mm,
Who died and made you God? Who gave you this righteous anger to make you really believe everything that comes into your brain is
Hmm.
the truth.
And I could be wrong about this. You let me know because you are the expert. So that right there sometimes can turn off men to wanting to help around the house
Mm-hmm.
because it's you don't clean like I clean.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Oh,
fold
yes.
like I fold.
Yes.
You don't
Yes.
do this like I do this because
Mm-hmm.
my mama did it this way. I do it that way. It's the way it should be done.
Okay.
So it's like, well, then go ahead then. Isn't that right? Like, I'm not we're not each other. And my mom could have did something right, great. And I think, right, it's great. The way she cleaned was great. The way she did things was wonderful as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But for me, it's about what's best for us, right? But I
Yeah.
find that
Yeah.
sometimes, especially when it comes to chores or household duties, a lot of
Rituals.
times,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then it's, oh, well, he doesn't want to help. He doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to that. He doesn't. But he probably just don't want to hear you
Well,
hovering,
if
hovering.
you don't meet somebody where they are, if you don't meet them where they are, I mean, if you're angry and offended, you can't.
Mm.
When you come back to it, it will happen again. It will repeat itself.
Oh yeah.
It will. You have to meet them where they are.
Mm.
So if you, instead of being offended and you ask qualifying questions, this is the way I do it. This is the way my mother did it. This is the right way. Can you tell me what makes it right? Can you show me? Can you teach me? Not your way, but the right way.
Right.
And then tomorrow I execute the right way. People will not change. In order for things to change, we must change.
Hmm.
So you can't come to a fight without weaponry
Mm.
or some type of anger or some type of solution.
Mm.
This is why we have wars. They're wrong. We're going to kill them all. That's what we're
Mm.
going to do. We come with the thunder. We come with the heat.
Mm.
My Bible tells me a lot of things in the Old Testament of how wars were resolved and the outcomes.
Mm.
And with you in the middle of that and you're in relationship, what are you willing to do for that person?
Mm.
That's not a relationship. That's you. That's making all things good for you.
Mm.
A war according to fill in the blank.
Oh. Mm.
But when you surrender and you allow God to take over that person, their mind, their heart, their soul, you may not be in that relationship too much longer.
Mm. 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 Hurt some people's feelings out here today. I thought Dr. Henderson, you hurt some people's feelings. I'm not gonna lie to you. But you have an amazing practice. So I kind of, let's pivot a little bit to Victorious Beginnings LLC. I mean, you are certified sex trafficking advocate. I mean, wow. We'll get into, what that is so people can be clear of what that actually is, because some people may not know and they might make assumptions. So we don't get that clear.
Okay.
Um, and a health and wellness strategist for women of diversity, which is amazing. Um, so I kind of want to know some things about, Victorious Beginnings, who do you serve, and about, your certifications.
Okay. I can't name them all, I'll just name a few.
Oh, I know
So the
list is
so
long.
so the one with sex trafficking advocate. So I am a sex trafficking advocate. There is a course where people can go and get state certified. I am number 100 in the United States of America, and that makes me sick to my stomach that it's only 100.
Wow.
So I can go to any state, any lobbyist, anywhere and act on behalf of advocacy for a child, for an adult, for a middle school person, and point them in the right direction and advocate on their behalf and train and teach other people how to identify the markers of their children being groomed or them being groomed. And with that, my heart is with people affected by sex trafficking and sex workers. I've done a lot of work in Las Vegas. I live in Austin right now, and I go back and forth because my private practice is in Nevada, Las Vegas,
Hmm.
Nevada.
Hmm.
Other certifications. I'm EGALA certified. I'm an equestrian therapist. Outside of me being saved and born again, the most second thing that I've experienced that made me even feel remotely close to God was witnessing people being healed through equestrian therapy. Because Miss Henderson is not the therapist, the horse is the therapist. And just like great stoic prayer for men, they don't speak,
Mm.
but they will bring you to your knees. For example, if you are a narcissistic person who gaslights people and you have a lot of anger in your heart,
Hmm.
and you were to come on the grounds with me, with the horse, having some type of obstacle course that I put you on, the horse will immediately turn its anus to you and remain. It's a valid act of humility. It will bring that man or woman to their knees, and that's where we start our work. This is the power of equestrian therapy. I've seen bonds broken, I've seen soul ties broken, I've seen so much. So,
Wow.
my end of my life, what I would like to be remembered for is rehabilitating women at the worst part of the depths of the trenches. You can't get any lower from a woman who has been violated 50 or 60 times a day, sir. They have black markets where they breed children for this. They start them at 4 or 5 years old.
Mm.
People don't want to hear it. They turn a blind eye to it. I won't speak
Yeah.
about it too long, but that's my heartbeat. So if I see it, I'm certified. More certified than I won't tell them I'm a therapist, but when it comes to trauma, that's the face of trauma, sir. So we have Christianese people that bless the Lord, praise the Lord, God is good, and they're
Mm.
suffering from trauma from being raped and abused.
Mm.
That's why we have to suss that out first. What's going
Mm.
on?
Mm.
We have grown men who don't know their sexuality because they've been touched,
Mm.
they've been sold, they've been raped, they've been
Mm.
coerced. You know,
Hmm.
the whole thing that's going on now with these celebrities and things of that nature, it's no
Yes.
surprise.
No.
And when they end up in my office, then, as old people say, bless your heart.
Hmm.
So other
Yeah.
certifications that deal with marriage and family and sex therapy, I pride myself on getting those certification, not for show. That's why I don't put my letters and my acronyms and all those things on the wall or behind my name. Because at the end of the day, I'm still Nichole.
Wow.
Nichole means victorious overcomer for God's people. So I name my practice Victorious Beginnings instead of Nichole's Therapy.
Love it.
And when people know they're coming in to see me and it's faith-based, they're going to get a part of that victory word some way, somehow.
Mm.
They're going to be lifted not by me, not by my words, but the Holy Spirit through me to them.
Mm.
And everything else that's therapy. I'm licensed in Nevada. I'm licensed in Virginia. I'm licensed in Texas and soon to be Washington State. All these states have mental health crisis undocumented.
Wow.
And the undocumented are the ones that I have to pray about that either land in my office or on my screen or people like myself so that they can get the best wellness they can get. My coaching practice, Victoria's Pearls, I work with Black and brown women who struggle with autoimmune disease.
Mm.
Autoimmune disease, from a spiritual standpoint, a deep rooted spiritual standpoint, is the pain. that's passed from one generation to the next.
Mm,
If you eat trash, you're going to feel like trash.
mm,
If you have a lineage of diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, MS, oh, it's in my family, it's generational. No. And you don't need science to prove it, but the science is there.
mm, mm,
So I teach people, women that look like me, high powered women that look like me, who have barriers of health challenges that they cannot get promoted because they're out, because they're dealing with post, pre, or mid menopausal things that are they're struggling with because of sugar,
mm,
because of carbs, because of the GMOs, because of the pesticides. So the more we know, the better we thrive.
mm,
Our children, certifications with them, ADHD, ABA. Our kids have an alarming rate of ADHD because of red dye number 40, because of Takis, because of Doritos, because of Taco Hell. I said it, I'll say it again, Taco Hell.
ah,
Okay. If
mm,
you cut all of that out and you start to see them, this is what I'm talking about, meeting people where they are.
mhm,
You don't meet the behavior and discipline the behavior, you see them. And that's powerful as a
mm,
parent and as a partner. Oh, that's my ADHD. Oh, that's
mm,
my depression. Oh, I have anxiety. I can't do that. Then you stifle yourself.
mm,
You don't allow the opportunity. Someone tells me no, I just turn it upside down. It's on. Or no, next opportunity. So
mm,
my certifications don't define me. My degree don't define me. My private practice doesn't define me, but I am victorious because I'm God's daughter.
mm,
And because I'm a daughter of the King, that's not being Christianese. That's explaining to you how to get from one step to the other and how to remain victorious. So the people who come back to me for coaching, therapy, equestrian therapy, or just to have a conversation, I'm going to let you know who's in charge, but I'm also going to meet you where you are because that pain is something that only you can heal.
mm,
You just need that other bout of confidence and reassurance and validation. And you need to have it where there's an open reservoir.
mhm,
You can't shut it off in the sick of punishment. This is why all our Black men are behind bars.
mm,
They don't know anything else.
mm,
You put them in solitary confinement. How do you think they're going to behave?
mm.
You see, I call that being a prisoner in your own mind with the door wide open.
Wow. Wow. And when it comes to, I mean, that's a one. I thought I knew, but you do a lot. I thought I knew, but I'm learning a lot today about how much you do and what you do. Um, is simply amazing. And it's out of this world. But the world needs it. For people like you, and there's not many like you, and I can honestly say that. Who advocates, for black and brown people. And um, but where I want to go is grief.
Grief. Mm, mm.
I always say that people grieve every day, and it's not just for death.
Yes.
Um, Grief is not just for death. People grieve. I mean, look, I mean, if you look at the unemployment rates, people lost their jobs last year
Mm,
and
mm.
still losing jobs at an alarming rate. And I think the
Yes.
time to get a new one is 12 to 18 months now. Last time I checked,
Yes.
consumer
Unfortunately.
debt. is in, I think it's 1.3 trillion dollars, something like that. It could be that number could be off by a point something, but it's definitely in
Mm,
the trillions. And
mm,
consumer debt, not housing, not mortgage, not consumer debt. Um,
mm.
right. People are sick, family members sick, people are grieving where they thought they would be versus where they
Yes.
are in life.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, but when you go on social media, everybody shows you the highlights,
Mm,
right? And never the reality.
yes.
And then people have, um, different things that's going to cause division and make you feel bad about your own circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So people grieve things that they see every day. It could be racism. I mean, it could be a lot of just different things. Where does one start with the process of getting themselves help with grief? I mean, because people just,
Mm-hmm.
we're functioning grievers, functioning alcoholics, we're functioning grievers, right? We go and we just push.
Yeah.
We go and we
Yeah.
just work. We grow, we
Mm-hmm.
go and
Mm-hmm.
we just start another project, right? We go and we just go.
Yeah.
And our feelings, our emotions, our grief, eh, whatever that is, it is, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of men do this too because macho, ego, whatever it is, the
Yeah.
machismo. Um,
Yes. Yes.
but the grief is real.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us have children, some of us don't. A lot of us have different just things going on in life, right? Sometimes you feel like, I can't let anybody see me falter. I can't let anybody see me weak or whatever that is. The ego, the ego.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but like you said, if everything when it comes to mental health shows up at some point,
Especially
physical
grief.
ailments,
Especially grief.
how does grief show up physically in people? What effect does it
Everybody,
have?
everybody's different.
Oh, yes, yes.
Um, Culture, upbringing. So men grieve differently from women. Children
Mm,
grieve differently from adults.
mm-hmm,
And not to be clinical to going through the stages of grief, because there's five, six, seven, eight, or nine.
mm-hmm.
But I love acronyms, so here's my
Yes,
acronym for
yes,
grief.
please.
Okay. Grounding, reflection, insight, empathy, and feeling. If you're not grounded, you need to go get help. You
Mm,
need to not deal with grief by yourself alone. I got this. I'm strong. I specialize in grief. And as a result of that, I have so many people that come to me that are so much better after the third session because they really are ready to do the work.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And we go through our sessions and we process the grief and the anger and the denial and the bargaining and the accepting. But they have to be ready to face it.
mm,
If you still have pictures up of your loved one, nowadays, and all I can speak from is from an African American standpoint, but they make a cutout of the person now. And they have these cutouts of them in their living room. And they look at that all day. If it doesn't heal, you shouldn't engage.
mm,
But you can't tell a person that because they haven't decided to let go yet. They weren't ready. It wasn't time, gone too
mm,
soon.
mm-hmm,
So you have to be able to, again, ask permission. They have, if you are a Christian and you're Christianese, they have
mm-hmm,
Christian grief groups called Grief Share.
mm-hmm.
It's one in every state in the United States of America. and they have excellent group leaders that lead group share. And one of the qualifications to be a leader, with the exception of myself, is you have to have gone through severe grief, where a son left by way of suicide, drug overdose, things of that nature.
Mhm.
So some couples do it, and it's biblically based. So if that makes you feel safe, that's good. Once you are done medicating your grief, once you're done with the denial and asking why, then you do the work. Reflection. Please reflect. Please look up on the things that will make you move in the right direction. And that's north, that's up,
Mm,
that's putting one foot in front of the other.
mm,
If you don't have a support system
mm,
and you're trying to do it by yourself, you're gonna regress.
mm,
You gotta have people that support you, not I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Um, you should be over this by now. Don't cry.
mm,
Stay in a
mm,
better place.
mm,
You tell them lovingly, that does not help me, that does not serve me, that weakens me.
mm,
Go to a professional, vet that professional, do your homework with that professional. Know the stages of grief before you get in the room so
mm,
that you can have something to identify with. Insight. Have some insight on that by doing your work before you go. Vetting the person, individual, vetting their technique, and asking them, what is CBT? What is meditation? How am I going to heal from this? This is all the person I had. That was my husband. I can't do nothing. I'm ill-equipped.
mm,
Then you go.
mm,
Empathy. Empathy is not feeling sorry for somebody. Oh, bless your heart. I'm so sorry this happened to you. That
mm,
is not helpful. Empathy is sharing your feelings, your abilities, and stepping into that person's shoes and feeling what they feel. If you don't have that capacity, then you need not to help that individual.
mm,
And feeling. Empathy is feeling. Feeling is not having a visceral reaction and it's gone. That's an orgasm.
mm,
Feeling is having an experience with the person by being with the person, sitting beside the person, moving with the person, and taking the initiative to help the person. How can I help you? How can I be of service?
mm,
Be kind to yourself.
mm.
And remember what Mr. Tillman says in a nonverbal way. Give yourself grace. GRACE, Christ's riches at God's riches at Christ's expense.
Mm. God's riches
Christ's
God at
expense.
Christ's expense. I like that. You and your acronyms get me every time.
But that is where you need to be instead of the longing. Shortest verse in the Bible is Jesus wept. He knew Lazarus was going to die. He knew he was going to wait 3 days and resurrect him. But he had a job to do and he fulfilled it. Man, woman, boy, girl, you have a job to do. You have a calling on your life. Grieve well and serve.
Mm,
And whatever support you needed, go find that support so you can give that back to someone else. Everything is giving back.
mm,
Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound.
mm-hmm.
It can be sad, it can be morbid, or it can be enlightening. So that's grief.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot. This is gonna be the first one I'm gonna really watch back the whole thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, Dr. Henderson. It's a lot in here that I'm digesting. I'm trying to digest here. Last topic, couples. Um, Specifically, where do you see couples, married couples? I know we know the divorce rates. So we're not gonna get into that. But where do you think, in your professional opinion, where couples, married couples, fail?
When they think something is better and greener when it's dead, brown, and artificial. When they think that there's always someone better, younger, more beautiful. What I tell my couples when they think that, or infidelity is involved, or they're having an emotional affair, which they don't know anything about, like social media and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what
Mm-hmm.
I tell them?
Wow.
Whatever it is that you're longing for, and you think your partner can't give that to you,
Mm-hmm.
karma will come back around and let you
Mm.
know. How would you handle that if karma happened to you the next day? If your partner did what you did or whatever you're thinking about, how would you address that? And I kind of let them resolve their own problems
Mm.
because everybody's circumstance is different.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to the 0, 100. You have to be wholeheartedly in 100%. Agape love is loving unconditionally.
Mm-hmm.
If a person, most people come to me on the verge of divorce because of infidelity.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's in the Bible now.
Um,
You can get away with that one.
but here's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
The most powerful emotion is forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
being on the other side. So if the couple is willing to work,
Mm-hmm.
we start with forgiveness.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And if you think forgiveness is saying I'm sorry, it's not.
Mm.
Forgiveness is like a piece of bitter fruit that you have that you're hoarding. And when you hoard forgiveness, you die. You become
Mm.
necrotic and you continue to seek. Again, the body keeps score. Pornography. A woman or man who watches pornography, if they saw pornography when they was 3 or 4, their brain neuroplasticity is damaged. And it's going to be hard for them to stay married and not go outside of that marriage
Mm.
if they don't take care of that sooner than later. So being honest about what's leading them to disaster,
Mm.
porn, emotional affairs, low emotional intelligence, trauma, all these things are factors. When people come to me for premarital counseling
Mm-hmm.
and they come to me for marital intensives, what that is they want what they would get in 12 sessions, they get in 3 days.
Yeah.
And so we work 8 hours a day for 3 hours.
Mm.
Does it work? Yes. My success rate, the only one that didn't work is one passed away. So
Mm. Mm.
my point is couples who want to do the work and surrender to each other and surrender to God, it can work. But you don't come to therapy and think that's the only work that you're supposed to do. You don't get off
Mm.
work and go back to your same patterns and routines.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nichole, I'm working harder than her. I'm reading the book. He hasn't read the book. And why are you complaining? Are you reading the book? Are you getting more knowledge? Are you being encouraged? Yes. Because if you depend on him to encourage you, then he's your idol. He's your God.
Mm.
So we
Mm.
always have to go back and prioritize, what are you doing? How are you encouraging yourself? How are you filling your own cup? And how are you being vulnerable with this individual to tell them what you need every day through the five love languages? Words
Mm.
of affirmations. Sweetheart, I love you. I don't like when you chew food with your mouth open. It just makes me, hey, it's these little things that bring them to therapy. I'm being honest with you.
That's true.
I'm doing all the laundry. He's not doing all the laundry. When you first met him and you guys are living together and you decided to do that, did you take it upon yourself to do that? Yes. Then why blame him?
Mm.
When you live together, did you have rules? Did you have boundaries? Yes. Okay. Then why are you still there?
Mm.
What's worse? A man who hits you and abuses you, or a man that lies to you and you're still with him and it's 20 years from now and you still don't have a ring on your finger?
Mm.
Did you choose to stay? Did you put the keys in the door and open the door and go back to living that life? And then you go for social media and tell people you're living on a little house on the prairie, you're doing this, you're doing that, and you're living through financial wealth, but you're in so much debt. And then you blame him. And you point your finger, you got another finger pointing back at you. You're either going to be a couple, you're going to do it right. And when finances come in, if you're equally yoked, if one is weaker, the other one can accommodate. The other one can know where that support system is and ask for help. So I'm going to leave you with this acronym. It's a system, SYSTEM, saving yourself time, energy, and money.
Mm.
That's the
Mm.
key to success. Be biblically strong, not earthly minded, not heavenly minded. Be biblically strong. The truth is the sword of the spirit. Always armor up and know your purpose, know your vulnerability, and tell people that you're uncomfortable instead of hoarding forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Because it turns into cancer and that's it. And there's
Mm.
no cure for cancer, from what I understand.
Right. You're right. And I always feel that in relationships, we always look to the next thing in life, even as an individual. You pay for the job, you get the job, you're no longer grateful for it. You move on to the next thing, next project. You got a bachelor's. I don't care about the bachelor's. I'm moving on to the master's. Oh God, it's hard to get the master's. Now I'm moving on to this. Get that. It's like a constant thing. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
human. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
thing we just always do.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do that with ourselves and we also do that with God too, I feel like because the simple things of just waking up in the morning, we no longer really
No,
we take
no,
for granted,
we
right?
do.
We don't really think about that. We're not really thankful for those things anymore
We
until
don't.
you're
Yeah,
laying in a hospital bed, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so if you do that with yourself, and if you do that with God, I know for a fact we do this in relationships. Oh, my husband cooks. That's just him. What he does. Oh, my wife does the laundry. That's what she does. Right. And we move on to the next thing with
Right.
them. Well, I think that they should be like this. Well,
Mm.
I think that they should do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should
Mm-hmm.
achieve this. I think
Mm-hmm.
that they should go for this. I think that they should make this money. I think that,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're just, and progression. I understand what that is. But at one point, you was praying for a woman to do laundry. At one point, you was praying for that man to cook. At one point, you was just praying for a man or a wife, a husband or wife. At one point, you was just praying for a boyfriend. Matter of fact, at one
Look,
point, you was just praying for a text back,
anything.
a call. Somebody gonna call
Anything,
my phone, right?
anything.
At some point, that's what it was, and then you got it. Oh well, now I want a boyfriend. Okay, cool. Now I got a boyfriend. Okay, cool. Now I want a husband. Now I got a fiance. Now a husband. Great. Now I want kids. Okay, now you get blessed with the kids. Cool. Well, now I want us to get this big old house. Now you got a medium house. Ah, really wanted to get this big house, and now we can't do it because now this finance, like whatever that is, right. It just goes from just the
It's
next
it's
thing and the
it's
next
greed.
thing,
It's greed. Luke
right?
16:10 says, if you're faithful in little things, you
Mm-hmm.
will be faithful in larger ones. But you don't stop and smell the roses. You don't even stop to appreciate your mate.
It's the next thing.
But what if there was no next? Don't you know
Oh,
when we were in slavery, our ancestors, we stand on big shoulders. There was no next.
mm,
The reason why we have soul food is because they made scraps out of what they were thrown back to. What happened? We made that relationship work.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's what I mean. So when you say the grass isn't always greener, takes me to gratitude. It takes me to being
Amen.
thankful. It takes me
Amen.
to saying, hey, like it's the little things that you once prayed for you have that you no longer appreciate anymore
Amen.
because you're always looking for more, right? And I get it because like I said, you pray for the 100,000. Now that's not good enough.
Mhm.
Now you don't appreciate it. Well, now I want 200. I get it. We all do. But
Yes.
but
But
it's the
how do you
thing.
appreciate how do you appreciate your man and your woman every day? Oh, I
How?
bought her that last week. Oh, Valentine's Day coming up. Why can't Valentine's Day be every day?
Oh, that's all. I say that all the time. All the time. Right? Because appreciation is every day. Being thankful is it's an everyday practice. But the reason why I bring up what we do with ourselves and what we do with God is because if we do this to ourselves, and that's why a lot of people are depressed because they're not achieving that next thing because they might have capped out at a point like, well, I'm not achieving as I quickly as I did before, and things aren't working out. So now I'm no longer happy with my
Yeah,
life.
yeah,
Not that
yeah,
I'm waking up in the morning, bless God, I woke up in the morning, great. No, I'm just
yeah.
not where I want to be. Right. So now, if you do that with God and if you do that with yourself, you're doing it with your mate. Well, we're not where we want to be, and we're not where we think that I should be, and we're not right. These
According
are,
to whose plan? You tell God your plans, he laughs at you. But if you wait and surrender, you will be blessed.
mm-hmm,
But you have to be able to bounce that off of each other in the midst of surrender.
mm-hmm. And
It
it's
can't
also,
be when it's their birthday. It can't be
oh,
just
yes,
when you feel good.
right, right. And we're big on achievement, and we should be, right? But I think when it comes to relationships, if you practice just being thankful and just because life is
Yes,
cold, Dr.
yes,
Anderson. People getting taken out left and right.
yes, yes.
And all the stuff that you nagging or just
Mm-hmm.
looking at,
Mm-hmm.
if that person was to go tomorrow,
Yes.
you'd be begging for that back.
But see, that's where the grief comes in.
Hmm.
The key to a successful relationship is to pretend that person will not be with you the next day.
And that is how I tend to approach relationships.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's
Mm-hmm.
this person may not be here tomorrow. Cherish this person.
Or the next hour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed. And
Mm-hmm.
so to be thankful that you might want something more from that person. Oh, but I wish that they could do a little bit of this more. That's cool. I understand that. But be thankful for what you have right now because there's another man or woman praying for what you have. That's a fact.
And let me preface that with the basic needs. If you have the basic needs, you have the ability to create whatever it is that you want or need. But if you think you're in control of your own life, that's where the problem lies.
Right. Right.
If
It's
you
very
have
true.
water, power, food, and you wake up and you say, I need to have more to prove to that to whom? Yourself? When you lay your head down on the pillow, do you hear, well done, my good and faithful servant? Or do you hear, I need to go grind and get more in this hustle? My hustle is strong.
Mm-hmm.
I need to keep grinding. I need to keep moving. Okay. That's how you will definitely be blessed with depression and anxiety. You will keep it and it will remain.
And that's how you'll have anxiety in your relationship because it nothing that the person does will ever be good enough for you.
Never because you're not happy.
Exactly. And you're not content.
Correct.
Right. You know, Dr. Henderson, I'm not gonna lie to you. I know I've taken up much of your time. And I know that I can talk to you. When I mean hours, I can talk to you and just talk about things and just talk about life. But I appreciate the time that you've taken here with my listeners and with me. Um, you have blessed this podcast. You have blessed this episode with your presence, with your gems, with your acronyms, with your wisdom, with your knowledge. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on the show, for doing this, taking the time out when you don't, when I know you didn't have to. I know you don't have to. And your time is precious. Your time is valuable. And so I just want to say thank you for all you do for the world, for all you do for us, for all you do for the world, and for your clients that are blessed, for the words that you put out into the world that are blessed, that everybody's being blessed by on the multiple platforms that you've appeared on, that you've blessed. And continue doing the incredible work that you are doing. We honor you. We appreciate you. We love you. And we pray that God's blessings continuously be upon your life and everything that you put your hands to do. I know you will continuously be successful, and this is only the beginning of what's in store for you. So thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate you and thank you.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure.
And this has been another episode of Conversations of the Heart. As always, it's your boy T Tail. We will be back next week with a very, very another special guest. Take care. Peace.